Hello, welcome back for another vlog. Thank you for your patience. Last week I was shooting conferences all week, so I haven't had a chance to do another one yet. I've been all over the country. I was at Crufts on Saturday, the very famous British dog performance show, where I saw a very wonderful performance by your mum. Anyway, this weekend we will be at the Birmingham NEC on the 16th and 17th. Appearing on stage at lunchtime both days to do a live Fix It and Post and a live Q&A, which is very exciting. So that'd be myself, Duncan and Oliver. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, I'm going to tell you about the time that I was held at gunpoint by armed police. True story. So, in 2005, I think it must have been, I had a friend called Steve, who Ollie and I knew mutually through working at the cinema in Cambridge, another friend called Lee. And I had made like a homemade Steadicam type device, which was made out of, me and my dad made it out of kind of metal tubing and weights and stuff. And Steve was a filmmaker as well. We were both on breaks from our first year at uni, and we'd come back to Cambridge, and Steve wanted to make a film. And he wanted me to be camera operator on like a mini DV camera. So we did that, and the plan was that we were going to shoot this film in my neighbourhood. So I grew up in South Cambridge, which is where my parents still live, which isn't miles from here. And it's kind of like an estate I grew up on, and it had, if you can imagine, one of those kind of 1960s kind of shopping arcades there, you know, with like a newsagent and an off-licence and a fish and chip shop and a butcher and all that stuff, you know. And Steve's film included the use of a gun. Now, on the day of the shoot, or the night of the shoot, because we were shooting under cover of darkness, there was myself, there was my brother, my older brother Niall, Steve's older brother, whose name I can't remember, Steve, and Lee. So there's 5 of us. And we're going about this estate with, you know, just shooting some stuff. I can barely remember what the film was about, but somebody got shot. And the prop gun was a very realistic blank firing 9mm Beretta. I mean, you know, came in like a little metal hard case, and it was the business, you know. It's this really heavy, chunky thing. So we're out under cover of darkness at night filming this thing, and near the shops, the shopping arcade, there was some CCTV, like that temporary CCTV they sometimes put up. And my brother, bless him, in his wisdom, kept saying, "This is a really bad idea. Like, it's a really bad idea. Someone's going to see it and they're going to call the police, or the camera's going to see it and they're going to call the police." And me and Steve, at least, I won't speak for the others, were like, "Nah, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. You're being paranoid." Keep in mind, this is just 4 years after 9/11, where things are still kind of tense. So, you know, there's a lot of paranoia about this kind of stuff. And of course, guns in particular, handguns, are highly illegal in this country, particularly after the Dunblane massacre in the 90s, which is a very sad thing. But we're being light-hearted, so we won't talk about that. But, you know, context. So we're shooting for about an hour or so, and then we come to do a bit actually in the shopping arcade, like outside the chip shop, I think we were. So we were there for a while, and Steve's brother was the actor, and he was, you know, pointing the gun at someone. I can't remember who. And that was all happening, and you know, that was fun. We were there for about an hour, roughly. And then suddenly, from nowhere, or nowhere-ish, 2 police cars come this side, 2 police cars come this side on the grass, and then another police car come down the middle, and we saw other stuff going on in the background, but there were big searchlights pointed on us. So, you know, we couldn't see anything. It was so quick. They all whipped up, and then bang, searchlights, we're blinded. And we're all just stood there in a line. We just happened to be stood in a line having a chat, and a pile of our bags on the floor. And a policeman came out, and he had his hand, like, he had a Glock on his hip, and he had his hand on it like that, just hand on it, one arm out, and he walked out. Keeping in mind, we're all like, I was like 20, I think, you know, I was young. We're all quite young. He walked out, just walks up to us and he goes, "Where's the gun, boys?" And all of us at the same time just went, "It's over there! It's over there!" So we're stood there. This cop is standing there the whole time with his hand Again, not on it, but you know, like on the grip of this Glock. And an armed response officer comes out, and she walks over to where the gun is, and there's a pile of coats. There's this hard case, and it's got this Beretta in it, and she walks over, and she takes it out, and she like pulls back the slide, you know, checks the chamber, sees that it's empty, looks at the magazine and stuff, and then just walks off with it. And we're all standing like this. So we can hear in the background there are dogs. You can hear some dogs in the background. There's a considerable amount of police presence there. My mum and dad don't know about this actually. Still, it's like 14 years ago. So 13 years ago. If my mum and dad watch this, yeah, sorry about this, but I think enough time's passed for it to be all right. So you know, whatever. So yeah, loads of police there. And they kind of go to us, so what's going on? And we kind of went, oh, well, we're film students, we're making a film. You can put your arms down, boys. Okay, we're film students, we're making a film. And they were like, yeah, we thought that was the case. And we were like, why did it take you an hour to get here? And they were like, well, there wasn't an armed response unit available for Cambridge. We had to send one from Milton Keynes or somewhere far flung. So they'd been on the road, they'd seen the CCTV in Cambridge, they'd fed it to the nearest armed response, which I guess came from Bedfordshire. And they turned up and pointed guns at us. And then what happened was they were about to let us go, and then a very serious-looking lady turned up wearing kind of like a business suit, you know, with a flak jacket over it. And she gets out of an unmarked police car looking very stroppy, and the copper says to us, "Okay, lads, we were going to let you go, but the superintendent is here now." Or whatever, and somebody has to get nicked. And we were just like, oh, fuck, okay. Luckily for us, the people that got nicked were not us. Steve and his brother, I'll never forget this, Steve and his brother were handcuffed and put in the back of a police van and driven away because they lived on the other side of town from us. So basically they were bundled in the back of the car. All the other cops, you know, got dealt with and fucked off. And after all this had gone off, we were just standing there, me, Lee and my brother Niall, were just standing in the middle of the shopping arcade with all the stuff taken away, everybody gone, and Steve and his bro were arrested. And we were just standing there going like, oh, well, that was interesting. I guess we should go. So we had to go. We went home. We walked home to our parents' house, and Lee had to get a taxi back to North Cambridge. And a few days later, there was like a little bit in the Cambridge Evening News or the Cambridge News saying like, you know, there was an armed incident, Worcester Road, blah, blah, blah. Tiny little column. What we found out later was my brother and I had a friend called Ash, and Ash he lived around there too, and he had just been passed as it happened. So there'd been lots of searchlights and dogs around, like I said. Apparently by the searchlights, the coppers there were a proper armed response with MP5 machine guns, and they had the machine guns trained on us whilst the policeman was asking us where the gun was. So yeah, I was once held at gunpoint inside my own postcode in leafy old Cambridge, if you can imagine that. So the lesson here is, if you're going to dick about with guns in the street, let somebody know. Speak to the police first. I think you go speak to the police station, they'll give you a permit. Don't just go out and do it. I haven't done that since. That's why I tend to stick to Nerf guns.